Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something really fascinating. A look at one of the most visually diverse nations out there.
Yeah.
We're asking, what makes Kenya's people look so, well, so remarkably different? It seems simple, but wow, it opens up a lot. Our mission here is to sift through all this great material you've gathered, the articles, the research, and really unpack that human diversity in Kenya. We want to pull out the key nuggets for you, give you that shortcut to understanding. And it's genuinely surprising, the richness here. Why Kenya is seen as this powerhouse of diversity, not just culture, but like physically. Over 40 ethnic groups. Imagine walking through Nairobi, a busy street. You'd instantly see it, right? The visual contrasts are just striding.
Absolutely, and that visual tapestry, it's not something new, it's ancient. What's really key to grasp right from the start is Kenya's geography. It's bang in the middle of crossroads. East Africa, the Indian Ocean, the Horn of Africa. So for thousands, literally thousands of years, it's been this meeting point for people, and critically, for their genes. That deep history, that's the foundation for the amazing physical variety you see in Kenyans today.
Okay, right. Let's dive into that. Let's picture it using the sources. Back to those Nairobi streets. You'd see, maybe, Maasai men, super tall, lean, and their red shukas. You just know them when you see them. Then maybe a Kikuyu woman walks by. Often a rounder face, softer features, kind of typical for many Highland Bantu communities. And nearby, maybe a Swahili family. You might notice that olive brown skin, sharper noses, hints of that long coastal trading history, And then headway north, say, Marsabit, you'd find Rendille or Somali people, often lighter skin, finer features. Just thinking about that range, what immediately jumps out to you as shaping these differences?
That's a great question because it really highlights Kenya's unique position geographically and historically. It's not just today, it's layers upon layers of movement. And what's interesting is how even the less obvious traits tell a story, like eye color. Now, sure, over 96% of Kenyans have dark brown eyes. That fits with being near the equator. But you do get rare variations. Hazel, sometimes amber eyes. You might see that occasionally among Swahili families on the coast.
The ones with the long trading history?
Exactly. And also in some northern Cushitic groups, pastoralists often, with those ancient links to the Horn of Africa, maybe the Arabian Peninsula, these variations, they directly connect back to those historical Arabian and Middle Eastern ties. And then there's albinism. It's actually relatively common in East Africa, maybe 1 in 5,000 birth, something like that. And that brings light hair, blue or gray eyes. It just adds another layer, another really striking variation. It shows how many genetic threads have kind of woven together there.
That layering is such a key idea. But maybe the most visible story is skin tone, right? The range is just huge. Our sources talk about everything from like deep ebony to a much lighter olive tone. Take the Nilotic groups, Maasai, Luo, Turkana, often pastoralists living out in the savannas, the Rift Valley. They frequently have very dark, ebony skin. And that's not random. It's adaptation, isn't it? To intense sun, high UV exposure in those open environments.
Precisely. It's a biological response developed over generations.
Okay, then you have Bantu groups, Kikuyu, Luhya, Kamba.
Yeah.
The skin tones are typically more medium to dark brown, often smoother gradients maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And they historically lived in more forested areas, highlands, so different environmental pressures maybe.
Suggests exactly that.
Yeah.
Different climate, different levels of sun exposure compared to the open savanna.
And then the coast. Swahili populations,
Yeah.
often olive to light browns and cones.
Right.
And that directly reflects, you were saying, centuries of mixing. Trade, intermarriage, Arabs, Persians, even South Asians involved there.
A clear genetic footprint of that long history of interaction across the Indian Ocean.
And finally, the Cushitic-speaking groups, Somali, Rendille, Borana up north, tend to have lighter brown, maybe bronze complexions.
Yes, generally lighter, linked strongly to their ancestry from the Horn of Africa and potentially Arabian regions. It's a really remarkable spectrum, and it's not just, what you see casually. There was a big dermatological study back in 2018, and it actually confirmed these melanin variations, found significant differences between the coasts, the highlands, the savanna populations.
Oh, okay.
So it's solid evidence, a clear case of environment like sun intensity and history, the movement of people, shaping how people look. The big takeaway is really how adaptable human biology is and how migration blends those adaptations.
And the diversity just keeps going, doesn't it? Let's talk hair, texture, and color. So tightly coiled hair is most common, especially for Bantu and Nilotic groups.
That's the dominant type, yes.
But you also get looser curls, even wavy hair sometimes, among Cushitic groups and the coastal Swahili.
Correct. And again, that points towards that admixture, that genetic mixing, particularly with populations from the Arabian Peninsula over time.
Makes sense. And hair color. mostly black, but sometimes reddish or copper tones,
Oh,
especially in Nilotic children.
yes, that's observed. The sources suggest it can be a mix of things-specific genes, but also sometimes nutritional factors can influence hair pigmentation in childhood.
Interesting, so it's complex.
It is. And researchers have actually pinpointed specific alleles, gene variants in some Cushitic populations that are linked to that wavy or straighter hair. It's more genetic proof of those connections beyond just sub-Saharan Africa, reflecting ancient trade routes and movements. A subtle clue, but it's there.
Okay, let's shift gears. Height and build, because this is where Kenya really stands out, right? Home to some of the world's tallest people.
Absolutely. The variations are quite dramatic.
The data we looked at is pretty clear. Nilotic groups, Maasai, Turkana, Samburu, Luo. Average male height, what was it, 177 to 182 centimeters.
Around that, yes, about 5'10" to 6 feet.
And typically lean frames, long limbs, very distinctive. Contrast that with Bantu groups, Kikuyu, Ludia, Meru, Kamba, mostly farmers. They're shorter on average. Men around 169, 171 centimeters. So 5'7"-ish.
Correct. And generally more compact builds.
Then coastal Swahili men, sort of medium builds, around 171 centimeters on average.
Yes, fitting between the two extremes in some ways.
And the Cushitic groups, Somali, Borana, Rendale, often tall and slim again, sometimes nearly as tall as the Nilotic groups, men averaging like 176 to 179 centimeters.
That's right. Tall and slender is common. And anthropologists see this as a really clear example of adaptation. Those savanna herders, many Nilotic groups, evolving taller, leaner bodies. Why? Well, that body shape, more surface area for its volume, is just better at shedding heat in hot, dry climates, like a natural radiator.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
Whereas the forest farmers in the cooler highlands, many Bantu groups, stayed more compact, maybe better for moving in denser areas, perhaps better for conserving heat when needed.
So environment really sculpting the body.
It definitely seems that way. A powerful illustration.
And the faces, too, just as varied. It means there's no single typical Kenyan look at all.
Not even close.
You've got Nilotic groups, often narrow faces, high cheekbones, long noses, tall foreheads, sometimes described as statuesque.
That term comes up, yes, reflecting the height and facial structure.
Then Bantu groups tend towards rounder faces, fuller lips, broader noses, features you often link with Central African ancestry, tracing their migration path.
Reflecting that Bantu expansion history, yes.
And the Swahili coast again. Sharper noses, maybe almond-shaped eyes, finer features overall, showing that mix Arab, Persian, Indian Ocean influences, a real blend.
A visible fusion of cultures and genes over centuries.
And Cushitic groups,
No.
often long, narrow faces, street noses, and like we said, often lighter skin, resembling people from the Horn of Africa.
Yes, very characteristic features linking them to that region.
It really is a mosaic, each piece telling part of the story.
It absolutely is. And if you zoom out, connect the dots, these physical traits are like history written on people's bodies. A living record of thousands of years of movement and mixing. I mean, Kenya is the cradle of humanity, right? Fossils like Turkana boy, 1.6 million years old. Our species started here. But the diversity today comes from later major migrations layering on top of each other. You had the Bantu expansion starting maybe the first millennium CE, farmers coming from West Central Africa, spreading into Kenya's highlands, forests, changing the genetic landscape.
Okay, so that was one major wave.
A huge one. Then later, maybe between 1000 and 1500 AD, the Nilotic migrations, tall, lean people moving south into the Rift Valley, adding another layer.
Got it.
And then from the 9th century onwards, you get the Arab and Persian traders on the coast, really shaping the Swahili culture and appearance, creating that unique Afro-Arab mix.
And the colonial era, minor influence.
Relatively minor genetically, yes. Some British settlement in the 19th, 20th centuries, but the impact on the overall gene pool was limited compared to these earlier, larger movements. And genetics backs this up. Modern Kenyans, on average, carry something like 65–75% sub-Saharan ancestry. That's the Nilotic and Bantu roots. Then maybe 15–25% Cushitic or Horn of Africa ancestry, and about 5–10% Arabian admixture, mainly on the coast, but filtering inland too.
But it varies a lot by region.
Hugely. That's the key. It shows these waves didn't just wash over, they settled, mixed, and became part of the local picture in different ways.
So, okay, all this incredible diversity, what does it actually mean for people in Kenya? It sounds like it leads to some interesting discussions, maybe even debates around identity.
It certainly does. It's not always simple.
Like, what is the typical Kenyan look?
Yeah.
Internationally, maybe people picture that tall Maasai warrior. It's become iconic.
Very much so. A powerful global image.
But inside Kenya, others might say, Well, actually, the Kikuyu farmer is the real face, just because they're the largest group historically influential in politics, business.
That's a common perspective, tied to demographics and national influence.
So you get these sort of uh, underlying claims or feelings. Nilotic groups might feel visible globally, but maybe Bantu groups feel underrepresented relative to their numbers.
Those dynamics exist, yes. Perceptions versus population size.
And the Swahili identity on the coast.
You mentioned questions about being truly African because of the mixing.
Historically, yes, sometimes from outsiders. But Swahili communities strongly assert both their African roots and their unique coastal heritage. It's a blended identity they own.
These aren't just minor points, are they? They must shape how people see themselves and each other.
They do. They feed into national conversations, into how identity is constructed and sometimes contested. But what historians really stress is that focusing on these divisions misses the bigger picture. Kenya's identity is its diversity. It's a nation built from many faces, many histories, not one single template. The debates themselves are part of figuring out how to embrace that fully. Right. And you can feel the emotion in it, too.
Yeah.
There's pride, right? Maasai pride in height, tradition, Kikuyu pride in resilience, farming, Swahili pride in that sophisticated, blended coastal culture, Cushitic pride in endurance.
Absolutely. Strong, positive associations within groups.
But then, sadly, stereotypes can creep in, too. The sources mention things like lighter skin sometimes being linked to prestige, maybe a hangover from colonial times.
Unfortunately, those biases can persist, yes. Colorism exists in many post-colonial societies.
But while others might see darker tones as more authentic or traditionally African, it gets complicated.
Very complex social dynamics around appearance.
And even though city life is mixing people up more than ever, blurring the lines, some old ideas stick around.
Urbanization helps, but deep-seated perceptions don't vanish overnight.
Still, the overall vibe seems positive. Surveys show most Kenyans, like over 80%, see this diversity as a strength, a national asset.
That's a really important finding. It suggests a growing national identity that values the mosaic, rather than wanting everyone to be the same.
A testament to embracing the mix.
Exactly. And scientists confirm it. Kenya's people genuinely represent one of the widest spectrums of human physical variation found anywhere in Africa. You've got the world's tallest herders, compact farmers, coastal people with significant Arab and Asian links, desert nomads. It's like millennia of human history packed into one country. That's why Kenyans look so different. It's not because they're fundamentally divided. It's because they reflect the incredible richness and adaptability of the human story in Africa.
Wow. What an amazing journey through Kenya's physical diversity. It really is eye-opening, isn't it? Seeing how all those layers, migrations, climates, histories created this incredible mirror of human variety in one place.
It truly is remarkable, and it leaves us with a thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Does Kenya's incredible physical diversity ultimately strengthen its national identity by showcasing this rich, complex heritage? Or does it maybe make the very idea of a typically Kenyan look harder to pin down, perhaps even blurring it? Something to think about.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the magnificent tapestry of Kenya's people. Until next time, keep exploring.